Hey family, how y'all doing? It's Monica. Hope everybody is doing well. I'm sorry I have been absent. I have been doing a lot of just preparing stuff. My work finally slowed down enough for me to catch up on some outdoor stuff that I needed to do. So I've been doing my fall planting, so on and so forth. But we'll talk about that later. I have a lot of stuff. I have like pages of stuff that I want to talk to y'all about. This is not going to be my traditional format. There will be no links for y'all to go to, so you will have to uh, listen to what I'm talking about and just go do it. If you do a, general Google or not even Google, um, DuckDuckGo or some other internet browser search, you should be able to find what I'm talking about. I have been meaning to come to y'all. Like, I got a lot of stuff to talk to you all about. And it's really important for us to do a lot of things right now. Most of all, keep our composure, keep our heads on a swivel, and do not be emotional about anything. Do not give the adversary any inkling that he has any control over our emotions. Before I get started, I want to just give y'all a personal advisory because I've been mindful of this myself. I've been really mindful of a lot of the content creators that I used to follow, especially those over the last 5 years, because a lot of them are just putting out content because they got monetized channels. So they're putting up stuff and making headlines that are sensational. Hebrew Israelites, good channels that are getting people emotional. And I don't want to call out one of the channels. They have a lot of followers, thousands of followers. They have put out really good content, but I just noticed that like this year there has been an uptick and it's a woman. So that's the other thing I want to tell you about. Be careful about emotional women, even if they're Israelite, even if they put out good content. Sometimes people have different motives, multiple motives. They may want to educate you and warn you, but they also have a monetized channel, so they need to get that traffic so they can get them coins so that they can, do their projects or whatever. And so they'll create a sensational headline, they'll grab something out of the mainstream news, talk to y'all about it, get you all upset or excited, have you commenting on the channel, whatever. And that's exactly what the powers that shouldn't be want you to do. And it's also a little nefarious to me. That's why I never monetized my channel. Not that it was going to get a bunch of traffic anyway because of the type of content that I talk about, but just notice the people who I have noticed, some of the really good channels, they don't have a lot of followers. And it's not that we're doing anything significant or unsignificant. It's just the powers that be know who they want to suppress and know who they want to be seen. And so just be mindful of where you put your eyeballs. You're going to have to protect your eyes. You're going to have to protect your ears. You're going to have to protect your heart. And that even means not listening to some of our favorite content creators. So, I have a couple that I have, that I still follow, but it's not that many. And even the good ones that I want to still follow, like, and I'll just give you an example. Brother Yuda Yasharel. I can't hardly get his content to come up, and he may come up in my feed like once every 5-6 months, and then I have to go back and watch his content. But the algorithms have a way of putting things before you, and before you know it, you will miss looking at your day ones because you're over here looking at something else new, which is what they want us to do. And I'm guilty of it. I know a lot of other people are guilty of it. We just can't help it. But I've also been trying to not engaged so much on social media. I've been listening to music. I've been outside working in the garden. I have chickens. Oh, I have chicken stories. I have chickens and chicks. Dying chicks, sick chicks, babysitting chicks. They like children. So I've become a chicken lady. And I just have had to dial back or reduce how much content I put out because there's so many people talking, and sometimes people say the same. We'll talk about the same stuff that I would be making content about anyway. And then there's so much chatter, unnecessary content being made that I just don't want to even be in the space really right now. So, forgive me for being absent. I'm not really we have to use these platforms we don't control, and they get to pick the winners and the losers. They get to pick what you should know and what you shouldn't know. And I've just found that a lot of the stuff that Israelites are focusing on, a lot of it is not things that's going to be helpful to us, and it's not going to bring us understanding. A warning is fine, but you should be trying to get wise, getting wisdom and knowledge and understanding, from things that are shared with you, not emotional. And we need to try to move beyond the emotion and being able to have a dialogue without arguing. I don't know. It's just a bad place to be right now. And so if you are trying to be a watchman and you are having to compete with other people who just are not, they have a different agenda. While they may be trying to warn, they're also trying to make money. To me, it's a conflict of interest. And I don't want to make content. I see some content creators, putting out 3, 4, 5 videos per day about, sensational stuff that's in the mainstream media. And I'm like, why are we talking about? Why is she talking about this? Don't make no sense. But then, just figure out, you start watching the channel, you get a bunch of commercials, or advertisements about stuff that's just trash. And so this is a monetized channel, they want you here because they need the coins. So just be mindful of that, y'all. Anyway, let me get on. Okay, so the first story is and the most important story, it's a lot of white on white crimes happening. Not black, we still got our black on black crime, but the white on white crime is accelerating, and you should pay attention to this. I'm not going to go into a detail about what the white on white crime is. If you black and you've been black for a long time, y'all know what time it is. As they turn on themselves, they will begin to come together and get on code to turn on us. So this is a very dangerous time for us, and not like I haven't been telling y'all this was coming, but it's forming. You can see it now. It's obvious. They are looking for a way to blame us for something. Even though we are blameless, we don't have any power. We don't have military. We don't have no money. We don't have no jobs. We don't have, we broken, we raggedy, but all society is falling. They ain't got no money. Everything that's going on is because of black people. They're trying to find a way to blame us for stuff, but all this stuff is between them. So black people need to be quiet, mind their business, even be mindful when you just having conversations amongst black people online. Just be quiet. Everything don't need a response. Everything doesn't need a comment. Some things that show up in your feed you should just pass by, because they're meant to cause us to get emotional. And again, we gotta control our emotions. They know we are emotional people because we are made after the Most High, and they understand that their time is running out. We're getting impatient, and we're in a silent war. We don't know how to fight. Our people, they don't understand anything about warfare, spiritual or otherwise. Outside of the people who have actually been in the military and been to war, most people don't know how to fight, and they don't study war. They don't study what happens in other places. They don't listen to victims, survivors of conflicts. That they just don't, especially our people. So stay out of other folks' business. Mind your business. Okay, next, the fall equinox. Pay attention to what's happening all over the world. Lots of things are happening during this time of the year, and it's ritualistic. And it's taking us into darkness. So understanding some gematria, understanding these religions, especially Christianity, is really important. The early beginnings of Christianity, how it's tied to a lot of secret societies. It's really it's getting time for you to get this knowledge, but time is winding down. Um, Things are going to happen where once this society collapses, you're not going to be able to know anything else. So whoever has knowledge and wisdom are going to be people that are able to help the sleepwalk and understand what's going on. But you can't tell people nothing now, so you just gotta leave people alone, let them figure stuff out. But there are a lot of rituals happening. Pay attention. The last quarter of 2025, which should begin next month, September 30th, is right around the corner. It's gonna get rocky. And as we go down through these stories that I'm talking about, and I've been warning y'all about this for a minute. They're getting ready to go to war, getting ready to start World War III. The dollar apparently is about ready to collapse. Everybody knows it, but they're just lying about it. The numbers, there's going to be a delay on the actual numbers that are coming out, financial projections, job losses, job gains, etc., because there's been so much manipulation with tariffs, de-dollarization, etc., that if the truth came out, nobody would have confidence the dollar would be worth nothing. So, gotta keep the peasants believing that there is something worth living for, worth working for, and that the money will continue to be worth something. So, I mean, that's just the simplest way to put it. We just right now living in a movie. It's a simulation, and you just got to be prepared. So don't get caught with your pants down. All right. Project 2025 leads to Project 2030 or Agenda 2030. So, as you can see, Project 2025 has been extremely successful in their goals and objectives they have been trying to achieve. And it hasn't even been a whole year. It's like been a little more than half of a year. We got 3.5 more years to go before this stuff is over. And it ain't gonna be over. Just gonna get worse. So just go, there's a board. They have a Project 2025 board where they show their accomplishments, and they have been extremely successful at rolling back laws, deregulation, and coming up with stuff so they can come after us. The Supreme Court, all the courts are in states are in lockstep on making sure they get rid of everybody else and have all these divisions so that when they get ready to come for us, nobody cares. So pay attention to what's going on with Project 2025. A lot of their objectives have been achieved, and we don't talk about it enough, but it is tied to Agenda 2030 and this global agenda, the globalization, the multipolar world. Getting rid of as many Europeans and Westerners as they can, because we are the obstacle to this new world order. And I say we because we live in the West, but Westerners consume a lot of resources and they rely on other nations to survive. Just look at what's going on in France. We're going to talk about that later, but just pay attention. Chicago and the National Guard. Pay attention to the states where the National Guard is being deployed. A lot of them are black and brown places, mostly black. There's no reason for the escalation or the removing of National Guard troops. I'm going to be honest with you. The reason that I honestly believe that these troops are being activated is because when all hell breaks out in your state, you won't have any military. And so it's easier to destroy yourselves from within, and it's easily to insert a federal or a international type of policing to come in and bring order. That's what's going to happen. As you can see, the UN is positioning itself to be the savior. So I just would pay attention to what's happening. Watch that movie, Civil War 2020. I don't know if it came out. I think it's Civil War 2024. I think it came out last year. I can't remember. It came out last year or this year, but I think it came out last year. Civil War, and I think it is spot on. If you pay attention to some of the signs and symbols in the movie, it's kind of hard to follow. But if you look at that movie and look at what's happening now with the freedom of speech and the press and the president, civil unrest, all those things have not happened yet, but they're leading up. The atmosphere is being set for those things to happen. So if you pay attention to that movie, it's going to be very helpful for you. And you can get your heart together, you can get your mind together, it can help you with your preparedness. And it could help you, see what life is going to be like based on where you live. Not saying that all of the adversary's plans will work successfully, but hey, we don't know. You don't know. Just got to be prepared. The 3-eye atlas, whatever this thing is that's coming that they're tracking, I don't really have nothing to say about it. I just don't. Y'all be careful out here. My honest opinion is, I don't have an opinion. Just be careful of what you are consuming, what you are believing, and this thing that's coming, it reminds me of the movie Don't Look Up. So and it came out during the pandemic. So if you have not watched Don't Look Up, watch that movie. People didn't believe until the very end that something was coming. I don't know if this is wormwood. I don't know what this is, but there are a lot of things that are in biblical prophecy that are happening, that are coming, that it's coming, but it's not all happening in order, and you just cannot believe anything hardly that the adversary presents to you. So we just have to be mindful of lying wonders, but we also have to be watchful of biblical prophecy, because they will try to take something that the Most High created for his people as a sign and make it a sign for them to give them credit, like, oh yeah, we told y'all XYZ. You got to remember, these people stole the Torah. They know, they changed time and season, so they know things that we don't know. And we have to come to the conclusion that we don't know everything. They know far more than we will ever know, because they deal with fallen angels. They deal with principalities. They worship things that we don't worship, and it gives them powers and knowledge and science and technology that we're not supposed to have. So that's one reason why the earth is going to have to be destroyed, because if you don't, these people just will just keep making stuff and doing stuff that just is destructive. So this 3-eye Atlas meteor or whatever this thing is that's coming, you know, prepare as best you can, but I don't know what to tell you. It really is some strange times. That's the best way I can put it. So the next thing I want to talk about is tracking your state CBDC legislation. So a lot of states have CBDC, which is the digital currency, or stable coin legislation that is sitting there or that has been passed right around the time that Code 45 passed its Genius Act. So your state, in addition to the federal government, will have their own digital currency laws, legislation, and you need to know what they are. I went to South Carolina, surprisingly, to the state legislature, and we even have digital currency legislation. It hasn't been passed yet, but it is very straightforward and just sitting waiting to be shoved into something to be passed. So go see what your state CBDC legislation is, and be mindful of it, because like in our state, they just made it where you could conduct transactions with digital currency and stable coins, but it's not mandatory, it's not required yet. So I just I just don't really know when the switch is going to take place, but you need to know. And if you're investing in digital currency or whatever, it's just for your benefit. I don't have any digital currency, so it doesn't impact me, but I'm sure at some point it will. So I just want to tell y'all about it. Okay. The next one is about Section 8. I shared a video on my community page about what's going on with Section 8 and the illegal immigration situation. And it's very important that if you know anyone who lives in Section 8 housing, who receives Section 8 vouchers, who lives in, a house or whatever, some states gave illegal immigrants or illegal entrants, that's the legal term for those people, during the Democratic administration, during Joe Biden's administration, they were given vouchers and housing, a lot of stuff. And so this administration is rolling back those entitlements for those people. And so if you live in a state where they are, what do they call it? I don't know I forget. It's like where they harbor, or they a refuge state for illegal entrants, and your local or state housing authority is refusing to either evict or let the government know who is in the housing developments without a social security number, or if they're not legal, if they're not entitled to those benefits because they're not a citizen. That's basically a citizenship thing, situation. Well, you could lose your voucher, your program could be shut down. The federal government is threatening to not fund housing authorities and Section 8 programs if they are housing illegal entrants. So it's really important that you pay attention to what is going on in your state concerning Section 8, public housing, illegal entrants, illegal immigrants, whatever you want to call them, and whether or not the employees of those local and state housing authorities are turning over the information. I think they had like 30 days when I wrote this note down to myself. But the end of the federal fiscal year is September 30th. So if they don't do it by the end of this or next week, then your housing voucher could be stopped. And that means a lot of people could be homeless, because if you don't have a voucher that's being paid for by the government, you have to pay that rent yourself, and most people can't afford the rent, the market rent. So it's very important that you pay attention to the happenings with this, and the government is getting ready to shut down. So a lot of stuff is happening with the government. A lot of stuff is happening with money. They don't want to pay for. They're cutting the fat from the budget any way that they can, and so people who are on Section 8 could be collateral damage because you may have a employee in the housing authority who's sympathetic and like, I'm not going to do blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to turn over this information. Well, this administration said that they are going to arrest people and, send ICE to evict these illegal entrants if they don't. And now that the Supreme Court has passed the law where the police can do racial profiling, it doesn't matter if you look Hispanic or whatever. Police, any type of law enforcement has the right to profile you if they're suspicious of anything, if you're conducting suspicious activities, or if they are looking for somebody. So you could be in a Section 8 housing authority or Section 8 housing, and they could just come and ask you questions. So it's really important for you to keep up with the laws because they're changing rapidly, and new precedences are being set every day. So it's really getting to be dangerous, and there's going to be a lot of uncertainty. So if you know anybody who's on Section 8, you should be warning them about this. And if they have any, illegal entrants living in their housing authorities, whether it's a house or if it is apartments or whatever, be mindful of that because ICE could come and kick in your door by accident. ICE could come through and knock on everybody's door. ICE could come and arrest your housing authority person. A lot of these females or women have these positions and they don't know what's going on. They just come to work every day, and a lot of times they don't take stuff seriously. You just be surprised at who are the housing managers of these facilities, these apartment complexes. So just be mindful of that. If you're on Section 8, there are a lot of issues coming down the pipe. You could end up losing your voucher or not having your rent paid, and your housing authority could be shut down according to the administration. So look up what this administration has said about Section 8 housing and share it with people that you know who use public assistance or use the vouchers or live in any type of public housing. More natural disasters. So as y'all can see, the earth is still quaking and shaking. The land is crumbling in. Stuff is crawling out of the water. I'm back, y'all. I'm sorry. Be hearing stuff. So back to natural disasters. We got a hurricane, a lot of tropical storms coming up. It's late in the season. That's never really good for us. So just be prepared for all types of natural disasters: hurricanes, earthquakes, sinkholes, falling trees. Be prepared to be without power. Be prepared to be without food or resources, and definitely be prepared to be without any law enforcement or National Guard assistance, because your National Guard could be deployed someplace else. Be prepared. I was going to talk about the Fed governor being fired, the only black woman on the board, but this administration is working diligently to dismantle and humiliate black people. They're letting you know, or letting us know, that we are not really a part of this nation. They feel like all the positions that, black people have held high positions in other administrations, they don't deserve them. They are working diligently to go back to being a white Christian nation, where they are in charge of everything. So you should not be surprised at anything that you see, but again, don't allow those things to make you emotional, because we've already lived through a Reconstruction era. This is the second Reconstruction era ending. So you shouldn't be surprised. What you should do is move out of the way. And I'm not going to keep talking about it, because that just gives the pasty pirates more ammo. It just gives them glee when we talk about stuff that they're doing. So I just kind of don't want to talk about it, because I don't want to give them any glory for the devilment that they're doing. Anywho, just pay attention to what's going on with these women who working for the feds. And again, black women have been used, and they're gonna have to come to terms with that, how they have been used to sabotage our community. And now, we're in a position where black men already had jobs taken away from them, from white men, by white men, to give to Hispanics and other immigrant groups. You talk about inferior education, school to prison pipelines, funneling drugs into our communities, and then putting us in jail after they put stuff in the communities, the terrible music, all this stuff. We just got a lot of stuff going on in our community that is dysfunctional and not helpful at all. But black women were supposed to be the savior. We were holding it together. We were doing it ourselves. We didn't need no man. We were independent, to the left. So now, that ride is over. The doors are being closed, and nobody has anything for black women but disdain. And now they got to come back, or they're coming down to the reality that they need black men. But guess what? They done messed up the black men, and black men don't want them no more. They don't want us anymore. So, it's crazy. All the stuff that's going on is just crazy. But anyway, sister's been set up. And now they're getting ready to get beat down. So there are a lot of stuff. They're going to lose those big old houses they bragged about, and those jobs, because nobody checking for us. Nobody wants to hire us. And white people are on code. Then the door is closed. So we need to really be paying attention to what's happening with federal employment, because it usually sets a precedent for what's going to happen in the states. And even in private businesses, where a lot of companies had DEI, and it was mostly jobs given to black women or black men. Those jobs are being, revoked. They get rid of scrapping the DEI programs. So a lot of black people are going to be impacted, and we need to understand that we were used, our people were used, and they're going to pay a price for it. That's all I got. Okay. Power grid upgrade, high bills, and data centers. So I know y'all been seeing a lot of the stories. The truth is coming out about these data centers now. And it is the equivalent of, how back in the 90s when NAFTA came through, and I'll say NAFTA and TAFTA, where these foreign countries were coming in, or any type of business. And I know it happened here in the South, where our jobs, we were laid off from our jobs, and then some entity would come and they give them this huge tax incentive and say, well, they're going to give us jobs, and so they need to have this tax break for 10 or 25 years so that they can employ us and we pay the taxes that they should be paying. Well, it's the equivalent now. The data centers and the data centers and the utility companies, same thing is happening. So now the data centers are moving into these communities, a lot of black communities, a lot of poor communities. These data centers are located in. They are destroying the water. They're destroying, the environment, and they're causing people to have higher utility bills. So people are struggling to pay their utility bills because these local municipalities, these local governments have given these incentives to these data centers to come and create jobs, and build the economy, but at your expense. So a lot of people are not going to be able to afford their light bill soon. And if you live in close to a data center, I didn't realize that here in South Carolina we had a couple. So we have one in Anderson. I think we have one in Greenville and someplace else. But be careful. If you do live near one, if one is on the dock, you need to pay attention to your local government's plans, city and county planning, because if there are data centers, especially if you're black, if there are data centers being planned, you need to protest them, because they are not going to be anything good for you. They're going to make your light bill high. They're going to make you sick. It's the equivalent of a manufacturing plant coming into your community and contaminating it all over again. And not only that, they're going to do surveillance on us. So, what's the benefit? That job, nobody don't need no job that bad. Shoot. Say no to the data centers in your black communities. All right. The manufactured food crisis. I know if you've been going to the grocery store like I have, groceries are high and the prices are not going down. So we need to really be stocking up on food, stocking up on seeds, and trying to grow as much food as you can. I know it's not possible for a lot of people because just a lot of different things people have just all, you'd be surprised at the things people are really going through right now. And it's difficult to just barely make it, but talking about putting back is even more difficult. And even for myself, I found that I'm not able to buy as much because things are expensive. It's really hard to make it. And my heart goes out to our people. All of us are really struggling to just survive in this system. I feel like, we're going to be okay because we're used to struggling and surviving, scratching and surviving, good times, hanging in a challenge. Sometimes I gotta laugh to keep from crying. But groceries are high, eggs are high, milk is high, everything is high. Do the best, and everything is contaminated. So just do the best you can to try to put back some stuff. But if all else fails, make sure you go to the seeds. Put back seeds, try to grow some stuff. Even if you don't do nothing but scrape a little bit of dirt and drop some seeds and see what happens. Start practicing growing your own food and growing stuff in season and eating stuff that's in season, because that for a time that may be what you have to survive off of. They call them victory gardens or kitchen gardens during the Great Depression, and I think in World War II, I think it was called a victory garden, where everybody was allowed to have a certain amount of food or grow a certain amount of food. Well, if you don't have no seeds and you don't have any money, you can't do that. This food crisis that we're having, they have manufactured it. They've been working diligently for the last couple of years to destroy the food system so that you will have a shortage whenever they decide it's time for us to have food shortage. They ain't gonna have no food shortage. They got food under the ground for years and decades to, excuse me, to live off of, but we don't have that. So just understand that food crisis is coming. They've been talking about it for years. I've talked about it on this channel. Nothing has changed. Everything is right on schedule. The store shelves are full, but the prices are higher, and that's why they are. The food is not going off the shelf like it would have been, say, 5-10 years ago. People just don't have the money because the light bill is high, the rent is high, your car insurance is high, your car insurance is high. You got a whole bunch of extra stuff you got to pay for, and you don't have any help. Your income is not increasing, but your expenses are. So food is going to be something that you can't skimp on. And I hope you're not one of the people who are like, well, God gonna make a way. God's sending you messengers telling you to do something. So if you sitting around thinking that somebody gonna feel sorry for you because you said God gonna make a way, people not gonna feel sorry for you. Everybody can see what's coming, and you've been warned even by your enemy. Do better. Gardening and farming issues. There's a lot of stuff happening with farming. A lot of farmers are losing their farms, so that means we're gonna have less food. Also, there's something going on with in certain places where they're having issues with crops. People are talking about, they go to bed, their crops are fine, they wake up the next morning, stuff is dead. Y'all know they spray all times, day and night. Just at one point, I had an issue with a bunch of flies, aphids, and other stuff, and I actually had to go and use pesticides just to save the stuff that I had grown, because between deer and critters, I couldn't catch a break. So I was like, I'm not going to be able to eat if I don't do something. So, there's a time where you're trying to be organic or whatever. It is cute, but when you're trying to do it for survival, you better have you something that can help you. And to sit around and be like, oh, well, I ain't going to have this, I ain't going to eat that because it caused cancer. Well, not having no food going to cause death. So, nobody wants to grow food for pests to eat. I don't. I ain't working hard to have a pretty green garden and then to wake up one morning and stuff done ate it. So you might have to resort to that. I'm not saying it. Have things to protect your garden in the event that you have some bugs or worms magically appear. It just is, and have lots of seeds. That's what I can say. Go to the feed store, get your seeds by the ounces. They don't tell us that. They have us going to the big box stores getting packets, but you can get way more seeds for the same price if you get it from the feed store. So go to the feed store. Fall planting. I have planted my fall stuff. I'm not done yet, but I'm well on my way. I got sweet potatoes, I got white potatoes, I have herbs like basil and parsley, thyme, dill, planted cilantro. I'm gonna grow a lot more oregano because I learned oregano is good for parasites, and I'm gonna feed it to the chickens. I still have some summer stuff, like I have tomatoes. I started late summer watermelon. I still have cucumbers. I did late summer squash and zucchini. I have fall squash. I have broccoli, collards, cabbage, something else. Broccoli, collards, cabbage. I have a lot of Asian broccolis that I'm gonna plant. still have peppers. Got a lot of peppers. Got green peppers, orange peppers, bell peppers, hot peppers. Um, I gave up on my pole beans, my bush beans, because I wasn't getting what I thought I didn't get the harvest, and I planted a lot. Just didn't produce the way that I wanted to, and I think it's because the dirt that out here that I plant in is not good and soft. It needs amending, and so it was an experiment. So I've got a tiller that I got to put together, but I'm gonna till up some stuff and amend the dirt so that when I plant, I'll be more successful the next time. So I'm in the process of still planning some more stuff, but I'm planning for me and I'm planning for others. Since I found a way to get more seeds cheaper, so I'm planning on experimenting, and I'll have to get an electric fence if I'm ever paid the rest of my money I'm owed for the work that I've done in Babylon. Okay, moving on. Distractions. Lots of distractions. Lots of distractions. Diddy trial distractions. Just all kinds of stupid stuff. Lately, it's Jimmy Kimmel. Who give a shit if he on the air? Who the hell care about a jester? Those are the types of things like that happen at the end of the Roman Empire, the bread and circus show. People want to laugh and cut up and practice escapism when the walls are falling in on us, like your enemies are, said alleged enemies are closing in on us. So just be mindful of the distractions. There are lots of distractions: political distractions, entertainment distractions. Just be mindful. Even foolishness from our own people. Our own people are putting just stupid content out, and I'm just so tired of us. I don't know what to do. So I have a note here that says to eat less, put back more, and detox, because the fall season is coming. With that, people are going to start being sick. So you need to start building up your immune system. Replace the vitamins, take more vitamin D, more magnesium, potassium, eat more green vegetables, do your hygiene stuff, and just detox parasites out of your body, because eventually it's going to start getting cold and people are going to be sick, and you don't want to be sick. Also, make sure you have the stuff that you need at your house for if you are sick, so that you don't have to make others sick. But also, if you eat less, we should be fasting. This is a season to be fasting and asking the Most High for guidance on what to do with your life, who you should help, who you should stay away from. Ask Him to give you discernment so you'll know what's coming, and learn how you can prepare. And most importantly, getting close to the Most High. Closer. You should already be close, but there are lots of things that you could be doing to make this season a little easier for us. The banks are updating their terms and agreements, and there's an uptick in debanking. So I don't know if you saw where in I can't remember, Thailand and in Vietnam, they've had millions of accounts being frozen, especially bank accounts for expats. So just be mindful again to not keep a whole lot of money in the bank. Keep your resources on you. If you don't possess it, you can't control it. Also, you see the price of gold and silver is going up, and it's going to only increase. So the window for buying gold is probably gone. But if you can buy some silver, I recommend having it in small denominations and probably not a lot, because I expect with this administration, like, they're gonna confiscate people's stuff. So just be mindful of whatever you get, and if you can get it with cash, and you're not gonna be able to buy coins without a transaction or receipt, but other things that can help you during economic collapse, whatever's going on in society, that's bad, disasters, whatever, but primarily economic collapse. Just understand that you're not gonna be able to go to the bank and get your money out. You're not gonna be able to make huge withdrawals. They're gonna limit how much you can get out of the ATM, and so it's very important that you keep currency. And I'll just say currency, any type of currency, precious metals on hand, so that you can conduct your business and keep your household going. Charlie Kirk, no comment. Moving right along. Economic collapse is happening as planned. You can see it happening. Everybody's feeling it now. You're seeing all the videos of people talking about they can't pay their bills, so on and so forth. So it's getting difficult for Western nations. It's gonna be difficult for everybody, but you can see other nations are working together to soften the blow for their people. Our people are not. We live with nihilists. We live with people who love destruction, and they don't care nothing about collateral damage. War of any kind is big business. So that's the state of what we're in. Weather wars. The weather is crazy. That's all I can say. You can look up in the sky and you can see it spraying all day, all night. It's insane. Some days I hate to work outside because you have to breathe whatever it is that they're putting in us. But again, just detox and pray, ask the Most High. This is why we're gonna need new bodies. We're gonna need new everything. Our blood is gonna need to be purified, because they are literally, physically and spiritually poisoning us, and so we need to detox. So you do what you can. And I'm not a doctor, so I'm not giving out any medical advice. But look up, and just pay attention to what's happening in the sky. There's a lot of stuff happening every single day. The French government collapsed. I don't know if y'all saw that, but the people in France are protesting. It's not the first time, but it's bad because a lot of the global South is refusing to work with them. They have been one of the biggest colonizers and extractors of wealth of third world nations, and now those nations are coming together with Russia and China and tired of the West. So as I've said numerous times, the West cannot survive without black and brown people and black and brown people's nations. They are the minority group on the planet, but they have control of all of the resources. They control the water, they control the air, they control the minerals, the rare earth minerals, they control the food, they control everything. And so this is a time where nations are shifting to turn on Babylon, and that is what you're seeing. So France is one of many nations that are going to collapse. A lot of Western nations are going to collapse. They're not going to collapse altogether, but just pay attention to the ones that are collapsing. Look at their role in imperialism and colonialism. Look at their ties to the Roman Empire, how they extended out of the Roman Empire. Look at the ties to the Catholic Church. It's all connected. So their scheme for this season has run out, and they got to find a new scheme. They already got the new scheme up and going, ready, but they got to collapse the old thing. So people in the West, particularly the pasty pirates, don't really understand what's happening, because they just don't. They just keep doing the same stuff over and over, and they never learn from history because they keep erasing history, and they're such good liars that they don't understand what's happening. They really don't. They're just mad. And when they get mad, y'all know who the favorite whipping board is. It's us. So they're mad at immigrants and migrants for coming into the countries, but they're not mad at the people who allowed it in both parties, regardless of what country, they're in. And when it comes to the West, their leaders are doing this because they are, they belong to the beast. They got to do what the beast says or else. So, just pay attention to these governments collapsing, Western governments, and the threats that they make, and how these other smaller nations are banding together and standing up together against the West. There's going to be a multipolar order, and there's going to be a global governance structure. It's already in place. Just got to collapse the old so the new thing can come online. And I've been saying that, whether it's banking, whether it's national governments, local governments, it's all, they're ready. Just they don't know which thing they're going to use to collapse the global system. So we just have to be prepared when it happens. You have to be like, oh, this is what people have been talking about. Just be ready. Nepal is having a revolution. Venezuela is at war with the West because Venezuela has more oil under the ground and in the sea right close to its shores than Saudi Arabia, than any place on the planet. And so, as they say, we're going to green economy. They can't go to a green economy because they still have to rely on fossil fuels, and Venezuela has a lot of fossil fuels. So pay attention to what's going on in Venezuela because it is going to impact the entire globe, but primarily the West and mostly America. So Venezuela is not going to be fighting by themselves. Russia and China have already offered assistance, and I don't know where World War III is going to kick off at officially, but it could be Venezuela. So just keep watching Venezuela, Nepal, France, and other Western nations. Just a lot of stuff is happening, and like I said, we don't know what's going to happen. The Chinese military parade. China's military parade. North Korea was there. Russia was there. A lot of leaders from the global South were invited and attended, and that is a huge sign of the camaraderie of those nations turning against Babylon. So just make sure you keep on watch of all the different nations who are coming together to destroy Babylon. And remember that we're collateral damage, so you shouldn't take sides. You're just watching. We don't pick sides here. We just tell what's happening, and how we can protect ourselves for whatever is coming. The climate stuff. I've been seeing a lot of videos from Khazarian looking people talking about climate. A lot of studies, just it's crazy. But I assume judgment is at hand, and they have to give you a reason for why things are happening in the earth regarding the weather and the water and the air and the sun and the moon and this and that and other. So just be mindful of the climate news. We already talked about where it's leading us to. You're going to have that day of rest. It's coming. They are ready for war. So, as you can see, Pete Hegseth, who is over the Pentagon, and I don't think he has any military background, he's doing what they are telling him to do. and he's basically summoned all of the military generals from around the world to come to Washington or come someplace. I think it's Washington, but I don't know. But anyway, a lot of military commanders, of generals, I'm sorry, have been removed this week. And usually when they do that, it's because they're getting ready to go to war. But to summon all of the military from all over the planet to come in and talk, that's a huge deal. So pay attention to that. I don't take that lightly. I think something's coming. Soul captivation. A lot of people don't have no soul no more. And a lot of people don't even understand what's happening. So I'm just kind of like just looking at people now. People are empty, and that's a dangerous thing. So I just want to, even in your own families, just be mindful. Don't give people a pass because they're your cousin or your mama or your brother or your auntie, your children. Look at people's souls. If you're you have spiritual discernment. Look at the soul of men and women and children, and start separating yourself from people, because people are going to cut up when things get really bad, and you don't want to be in a situation where you stuck with people who are soulless, who will sell you out, who you got to fight with just to do the right thing. And you also don't want to be with wolves in sheep clothing, people who look and sound good, but they ain't tried and true. They are weak and scary. They are believers, but they're scary. That's not people you want to have on your team. So I'm saying all this to say, don't discount the YNs, because the YNs could be your saving grace, because they are fearless. They don't have nothing to lose. And don't be too accepting and willing to give a pass to those who know the word, and those who sound good, and those who are churchy, into churchianity and Christianity, because those are the people who ain't gonna do nothing but give you good words, and they ain't gonna do nothing. They ain't gonna be ready to fight. They ain't gonna be ready to knuck if you buck. They ain't gonna help you plant a pea, a bean, a teal, nothing. They're just gonna be a problem. They're gonna be talking, the Lord gonna make a way, looking up in the sky. And the Lord already sent 1,000 people to tell you, you better get you some seeds, you better get you some water, you better get you some ammo, you better get you some, sugar, flour, so you can make bread, because you're not going to be able to afford it. Many messengers then came and told those same saints what to do, and they just don't listen. So be mindful of those types of people. Don't judge anybody, but look at the souls of people and look at their actions, because again, people are not really so different when you look at people just in general. But somebody who betray folks is somebody who betray folks. There ain't nobody you want to deal with. Somebody who will sell you out, you don't want to deal with them. Lazy people, you don't want to deal with them. People who don't listen, who always got to talk and always right, you don't want to be with those people. But there are some people who have a rough message and may be angry, or their delivery may not be good when they're trying to tell you something, but they're wise. Don't discount those people. Don't discount the stranger. Don't discount people who don't have a lot, because they may be some of the most helpful and resourceful people when things hit the fan. Just be mindful of people's souls and their intentions. Black people instructions. Black people, mind your business. Keep your head on the swivel. Drink water. Like, water solve all the problems. Drink water. Do your housekeeping. Get rid of stuff that you don't need. Prepare for hard times. That's what you should be doing. And again, watching how the pasty pirates don't defend anything. All they do is get mad and blame other people for stuff that they do. Pay attention to that. It's a pattern. It's so, if you start looking at history and then you start just looking at people, like the people in power, they do the same thing over and over and over and over again. So it's not hard to see what's getting ready to happen, but you still need to be ready. Still prepare yourself. Keeping your eyes and your mind open, wide open. I have been kind of, I won't say just walking around mindless, but just at peace. But after this stuff with Charlie Kirk and all the things, the young people missing, young people hanging, a lot of serial killings been happening, black people been turning up dead in the woods, especially young black women. I'm more mindful of my surroundings, and I'm not prejudiced, but I'm just in a place where I just feel safer around my own people. I don't have time to be trying to figure out who a snake is and what a snake is. I already know what a snake is. And I know I can be bit or harmed by my own people, but I pretty much know us. The mind and the heart of the pasty pirates, I don't necessarily know. If I know them already and know them to be good people, cool. But even if they're cool, that's a one person cool. You don't know how their mama, grandmama, granddaddy is. Like in that family, it's some people who, if push comes to shove, they're gonna get on code with those people to keep from being harmed or alienated. And so we have to look at all of those types of things. Even if you're married to these people, whatever, what's gonna happen when things get bad? Are they gonna go to the white side, or are they coming over to the black side? And if they go to the black side, are they gonna be penalized? Are they gonna bring heat to the black side? Like, you gotta be thinking about that type of stuff right now. And I'm not trying to make anything about who's doing what. It's not my business, but I'm just worried about black people, African American, so-called black people, the Israelite community, our people. We are getting ready to go through some things, and we don't have no time to be trying to figure out if this person is good or bad. That's not looking like us, because we already gotta vet us. You don't have no time to be trying to vet Mr. Charlie and Miss Ann. You don't have no time for that. Those days are done. You have instructions. If you are awakened, you already know what you're supposed to be doing. If they have not, their fruit have not shown you who they are, and the words and the actions don't align, you can figure it's a snake and move on accordingly. You don't have no time right now for people whose words and actions do not align. You don't have time for questionable people, snow people. You don't have time to be trying to listen at them exercise I'm a good person, I got black friends, I got one black friend, I did this and that, and during the civil rights era. We ain't got no time for that. We ain't got the time for that. We don't have time for that, honey. You better be trying to protect yourself and protect your family, and let folks go on and do what they do. But these white folks are getting on cold. Black folks better be trying to figure out some shit. Better learn how to get on code too. Better learn how to look out for each other. Better learn how to watch out for yourself. You better learn how to take care of yourself, because right now we are in a situation where our every need is supplied by them folk. Learn how to be self-sufficient and learn how to rely on the Most High. He will guide you and tell you where you need to go and who you can trust and who you not to trust. But he already done told us. So, you don't read your word, you don't know. Read your word for yourself. Don't be listening to them folks. Keep your soul guarded. I have just found that I'm at peace right now with being around fewer people, being alone, being outside more, getting into nature. Um, it's just, you gotta do what you gotta do. Guard your soul, because there's people out here trying to get it. Pay attention to what's going on with the UN meetings, Trump, Africa, Ibrahim Traore. A lot of stuff has been happening. They have not been talking about it in the mainstream media. You have to go to the UN website, and you have to pay attention to African news. Again, if you're not paying attention to African news, the African Union news, you are missing out on a whole lot of stuff. Good stuff. If you can, y'all better be trying to put you some money up and try to get you a passport or something to get out of here from another country, because soon we're going to be needing to leave. And from my understanding, what the streets said is that America is in negotiations with some global south countries, or what they consider lesser nations around the planet, for us to go to in South America and on the African continent. Look at who's offering passports, and vet those nations. Start looking at where you could possibly go if a refugee corridor opened up, or if there's an opportunity for you to leave. If we have to leave, where would you want to be? Not saying that you got to go to Africa, not saying that you got to go to South America, but you better be trying to think about where you're going to go to if you have an opportunity to go someplace, because just like Europe is changing and other nations are changing around the globe, America is going to change too. They want to be a white Christian nation, and so you might have to go because you ain't white and you are not with the program. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just putting it out there. There are plans to get us out of here, to remove us, to give us an opportunity to leave. So considering how hostile things are now, again, you might want to look at that. If you have resources, you might want to invest in getting you a way to get out of here. Have a landing place. Being a refugee is not going to be good. It's not going to be easy, because the Western nations control most of that anyway. So I really don't know what to tell you, except for we just have to watch everything. Just watch. But keep an eye on what's going on with the UN, because they're talking a lot more about peace and safety and dignity, because war is coming. They know it. And most of the world doesn't know. They know something is coming, but not what, and definitely not how it's going to impact them. Did y'all see the golden statue unveiled outside of the Capitol building of Trump? History is repeating itself. That is a golden calf if I've ever seen one. So judgment is coming to this country, and we should be afraid. You should be at peace. You should understand what's happening, but we should not be so comfortable that just be mindful of what's happening. There are a lot of things that are happening spiritually that happened in Babylon, and it's pretty eerie. Pay attention to the women worship. If you look at the UN site, it's all about helping women. All of the pictures are about women. No men hardly any place. when in any of these nations that they are helping these women and children, helping women be strong. Well, if there are no women, where the men at? Who So pay attention to stuff like that. I'm almost done, y'all. Pay attention to the signs, symbols, clues, codes, and colors. Lots of rituals are taking place. I talked about that earlier. A lot, especially with politicians. A lot of politicians are going over to Egypt. They're going over to a lot of places and doing stuff. A lot of meetings are taking place, especially this time of the year, because they do a lot of sun and moon worship. A lot of stuff is happening in the sky and the stars with the astrology, and it ties right into their satanic worship, their satanic rituals. And you'd be surprised at the people who are involved, politicians, world leaders, corporations, CEOs, people you don't even know. So just pay attention to what's going on. They're letting us know that we are under some type of satanic world order right now, and we just don't really know how to deal with it. We don't know what it is because we're not taught. Like in Christianity, you don't learn any of this stuff. If you're not awakened and trying to get this stuff for yourself, you just don't know what's happening. So make sure you understand the clues and codes and colors and symbols and rituals and all these statues and all the stuff about gold. Don't be so hung up on money. Don't be so hung up on having all these things that they are scrambling to get, because we still are in the Roman Empire. It's revamped, but it's gotta fall. And the Most High gave us instructions. We just have to keep telling the truth and keep doing what He said do. It's gonna be hard, but if we do it, we'll come out. We'll be so much better off on the other side. So prepare for adversity, prepare for famine, and watch your surroundings, watch your people in your family, your children, your spouses, your co-workers. Watch it where you go. Don't be trying to be out so much. It's just not a good time. It's not a safe time for us, especially for black men and young black women. They got us hating each other, so everybody's trying to go to the other side and be with these other people that's supposed to be so great. Well, you don't know if that's a setup. We don't know. What I do know is our young men are dying, and we were told a couple years ago that young black men were the problem by the Khazarians, by New Khazaria. We didn't know why, but now we do. And they're always looking for our Messiah. They're always looking for somebody who has the potential to awaken us. And they also are always looking for somebody that's easy prey to sacrifice for their rituals. So just be mindful when you're out and about. Talk to your children, talk to your family members about it, and that's all you can do. Anyway, I'm done. This is Marley K. Leave me your feedback below. If you have anything that I didn't touch on, I know there's a lot of stuff going on. I have been busy, but we really don't have time to be on social media. This is a time to prepare. It's a time to be quiet. It is a time to be studying. It is a time to get close to the Most High. Listen to Him. Get rid of all the distractions so you can hear what He's trying to tell you to do, where He's trying to tell you to go, so you can get your heart right and be prepared for what's coming on this earth. You can't endure to the end if you didn't prepare. It is what it is. All right, y'all. This is Marla K. Love y'all. I don't know if I'm gonna be doing another video, but I'm gonna try to do a live this weekend. I've got almost all my chores caught up, so I have a little breathing room, so I'll be able to do live, and I'm gonna try to show y'all my chickens. Got a lot of them. All right, this is Marla K. Love y'all, and I'm out.